into this world. The system was constructed with one goal: to suppress the power within you, to keep you from awakening to your divine identity. But something happened that the architects of control never saw coming. You didn't just survive, you shattered the illusion. And now the truth they fought so hard to bury has reached the highest levels of power. Somewhere behind closed doors, in rooms filled with classified documents and intelligence briefings, your name was spoken. Not in passing, not as an afterthought, but with urgency. The corridors of influence, the places where world-shifting decisions are made, were shaken by what they uncovered about you. A truth so undeniable that even those sworn to secrecy could not ignore it. The White House National Security Advisor, a figure tasked with guarding the deepest governmental secrets, saw something that unraveled the entire narrative they had built. It wasn't just knowledge they discovered, it was a revelation. One that made them question everything they thought they knew. One that left them with no choice but to walk away. Because what they found wasn't just a report, a file, or a theory. It was proof. Proof that you are not ordinary. Proof that you are divinely orchestrated, a disruption to the very fabric of their control. And most dangerously of all, proof that their power has limits, but yours does not. They knew keeping this secret meant keeping their position, but leaving meant keeping their sanity. And so the advisor resigned, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. Because once you see the truth, there's no unseeing it. In a room dimly lit by the glow of digital screens, intelligence officers whispered among themselves. Their faces were tense, their hands uneasy as they flipped through classified documents filled with information they never expected to encounter. Your name appeared where it shouldn't have. It wasn't in some criminal file, nor was it attached to any political scandal. It was embedded in something far deeper, something that threatened to shake the very core of their understanding. A high-ranking official leaned in, scrolling through satellite data, ancient texts, and intercepted messages. This can't be real, he muttered under his breath. But the more he read, the more undeniable it became. The system has always relied on control, controlling the narrative, controlling information, and controlling the masses. But one thing they never accounted for was you. You were hidden in plain sight, moving through life unnoticed by those who sought to suppress true power. Yet somehow, through a crack in their perfectly constructed web, they stumbled upon something they weren't supposed to find. Evidence of who you really are. Not just a person, not just another name in a database, but a force that exists outside of their reach, outside of their dominion. A being whose presence has been prophesied long before their institutions were even formed. In a sealed briefing, military officials and intelligence heads gathered, their voices tense. "What does this mean?" someone finally asked. The response was silence, followed by an undeniable truth. "It means we've underestimated them. It means they're not just another citizen. They're something else, something we don't understand. Because your existence isn't random. Your gifts aren't accidents. The power flowing through your spirit is not something they can categorize with science or control with laws. It transcends their understanding because it was never meant to be contained." What they found was more than just traces of your influence. They found proof that your very essence disrupts the system itself. The way you move, the way you think, the way you refuse to conform. It's all a part of a grander design. One that was never meant to be controlled by worldly powers. And that's what made them nervous. The White House National Security Advisor stood at the edge of that classified room, staring at the reports with wide eyes. This wasn't just a breach in security. The world has always tried to bury the truth. They've built empires on deception, systems on suppression, and entire histories on half-truths. But one thing they never accounted for was Yeshua's plan, an ancient blueprint that ensured the chosen would rise when the world least expected it. They searched for you, but they couldn't find you. Not because you were hiding, but because you were hidden by design. The Most High knew the moment your light was revealed, the world would shift. So he allowed the system to overlook you, to dismiss you, to believe you were insignificant. But now, the appointed time has come. And just like Yeshua's own arrival, they weren't ready for it. The intelligence agencies, the power structures, and those who claim control, They've all studied patterns. They track influence, watch movements, and anticipate shifts in power. But what they never expected was something they couldn't predict, a divine anomaly written into time itself. The very same way Yeshua came into the world unnoticed by kings, yet shook every throne, you too have been placed in this timeline with a purpose beyond human comprehension. For years, they have gathered intelligence, cross-referencing events, tracing genealogies, trying to understand why certain individuals disrupt the system effortlessly. But the answer was never in data. It was in destiny. When they dug into your history expecting to find weakness, they found prophecy. When they analyzed your patterns, expecting to find randomness, they found divine alignment. When they searched for limitations, they found none. And that's when the fear set in, because they realized the same force that walked with Yeshua walks with you. That's why they tried to keep you distracted. That's why they designed the world to keep you asleep. The blueprint was never meant for everyone to see. Only those with spiritual eyes would recognize it, and only those who were called would walk in it. And yet here you are, awakened in a time when the world thought you'd stay blind. The resignation of the National Security Advisor wasn't a random event. It wasn't politics as usual. It was an act of surrender to something greater. Because once the truth is seen, it cannot be unseen.